Hey guys and girls, Emma again. Welcome back to another video in this Patreon series. First was to face the bottom of this big casting, and I did that with the help of my friend John Pettit. He gave me a hand to face it up with a big face cutter in his nice new full-size milling machine. We just held it in the vise like that and put a toe jack under one end and a clamp on it, and it seemed to face up okay. It was just a little bit hard at one end, but we'll talk about that when we get through it a bit. So next job, we can see that these line up here and here on both sides, and I'm really pleased about that. But we need to mark these and put some bolts in, and mark these and tap them. This, because if we remember, we left this piece in here on the pattern so we could get out of the mould rather than put another piece in here. This shape on the back we need to cut out here to match the cutout on here. But first we need to think about some bolts. I could go metric on this all the way through, probably, within reason. There's some compromises with that because 3mm and 4mm bolts are available, but 3.5 really aren't. Metric bolts tend to have modern heads on them, and the hexes will be too small for here if you can actually get 3mm hex bolts. You could use Umbracos, and if you use them all the way through, it probably won't look too bad. I would rather not do that if I'm going to the trouble of getting castings made and stuff. So the other option is Imperial, and the sizes are mostly 1/4, 1/8, 3/16, 5/16. Now, that probably works too, except if you've got a 3/4 or 3/16 bolt, the 3/4 size, or the scale size, is 9/32, and you can't get a 9/32 bolt. So what I've decided to do is go with BA. This is a 4BA bolt, and it's about 9/32. It's 141 thou, so it's spot on size for 3/4 of 3/16. It's got a nice hex head on it, and they'll look really slick on there. So really, that's the way to do it. Now, 3/4 BA bolts come with two different head sizes. If we look at JB's BA calculator on a 4BA, this head he's got here isn't work. This is a 5BA head. So they're small head. You get big head ones and small head ones. The ones I've got here are small head, and that's the most usual ones that are available. They look like real engineering bolts. Well, they are. But they're 3/4 long, and they're only threaded down about 10mm, so that's not enough. So I'm just going to run these through a die with a bit of cutting oil and machine them down a bit. The actual cut thread's not rolled, so we're not going to compromise the thread any. And when we've got the 5 of them, we're going to turn this upside down and mark it out. So I've carefully drilled these holes tapping size for 4BA, which is number 31 drill. For a start, I'm going to open them out afterwards. They look in line this way. They're probably somewhere near there. I tried to get in the centre of the little dots, but probably you can't see both sides at once. So if we line these middle ones up, these will be a fraction this way, like tiny bit, and these are a fraction this way, which won't hurt. So we want it nice and square with this one lined up, and hopefully this one lined up, and these aren't far out. We can just use this as a transfer punch, I think, nicely. And that one's got that plate in the way, so we can't really do that. So the thing I think will be to centre punch these properly. And drill them and tap them. This one here, we're going to have to think about it a bit. Because this plate here is in the way, we can't just transfer that down through there. But now we've taken it off and lost our alignment, we're going to do these other 3 holes first. Slow and steady wins the race. So we drill these tapping size and tap them out and drill those 3 holes oversized so that we can put the 3 bolts in. And then we can look at lining this one up and making it work. So even if we've got to guess him a bit and oversize hole, put an oversized hole in the base, but we'll get there. So next job is to tap those 3 holes, I think. So I chain drilled this and hacked most of it out with a Dremel. There's a fair bit more still to come out of it, but I'm going to sit down and file it out now and get it somewhere near. It needs to be back to this line here on each side, and it needs a nice radius around here to match the other casting. So a bit of work in that. I'm going to spend a couple of hours on that now and just get that looking pretty tidy. So I spent a bit of time and JB welded this. I was going to use DevCon or Belzona or something, but it's a bit expensive. And this will do the job. There's no structural strength really required on any of this. It's just cosmetic. And it's all going to be painted, so I don't think there's going to be an issue. Spend a bit of time here just getting these up level again, because this was tapered off quite considerably for pattern draft. And what I've done is flatten them off flat this way because they needed a bit to so the bolts seat on them nicely, and they still need a little bit of padding. I've done a bit of rebuild and touch up in here. It's going to need a bit more. This one here has come up nice and it's nearly complete, and a couple of these feet are a little bit low on the front corner, so I've just touched them up and I'm going to round them off too. I've put a bit in here to match this here, and it's starting to look pretty good. I'm fairly happy with that. Next part, I guess, really is to put this back in the oven for a few hours and let it cure, sand it up, make sure everything looks good, probably touch it up again and put it back in a few hours, and probably I'm going to leave it overnight to cure in the oven just at 50 degrees so that it cures properly, because it's a bit chilly here and a bit damp in the air, and I don't think it's gonna go off real well unless we do that. So this just fits in the oven, so I'm going to do that. And when this is cured up and ready to go, we'll see how it fits on the base. So there we go. I've got this filled up. Putting this around here so you can actually see it, what we've done here on the back. This was a bit of a issue really, because these here and here is quite chilled, so the iron is very, very hard in here, and this is in part a foundry problem. It probably should have had a riser on the back end here, and in part probably a pattern making problem. There's probably a dozen things that could be changed to make this casting a little bit better second time round, and you're not going to know that until you get in and machine it and find out. So we're finding out now, and I'm not sure we're going to make another one, but this is all very good soft iron all the way through here, and these 4 drilled beautifully up the top here. These 2 here took some doing, and big thanks to these guys. I won these at the Summer Bash in 2017 maybe. Big thanks to Drill Hog USA, high molybdenum M7 drills. Really very, very good thing. So that's the little set of them I've got, and I really like those, but they come to the rescue, and I don't use them very often, but they certainly made short work of this in the end. I've DEFCON'd this up because there was some power problems with the core here on the back. Put a bit of DEFCON, well, I use JB Weld actually, which is probably heaps good enough for this. A bit in here where there was a gap, and a bit in here where there was a gap, and a bit in here where there was some ugly. And I built these up level rather than try and file them down and have them thinner than the others. So they should all be good. I'll show you this. We had a misfire here. I've drilled this, probably see that. I've drilled this slightly off because this wandered, and I've since filed the hole out to the right spot. And I put an aluminium plug in there and a little bit of JB Weld on top just to smooth it over. You can't actually see that, but that should be as good a repair as the rest of the casting. And sometimes these things happen, but I would rather have these in line than out of line. So let's do these up and have a bit of a look at what's next. One of these is a short bolt because this is in the way here, and that will be machined off, and then I don't think it'll be so much of a problem. But until then, we're going to live with a short bolt in here. So I've cleared the bench off a bit, and we've got these in somewhere near. These 2 here are nice and neat, and they sit down really sweet. I think they probably want washers on them, and probably they're going to get high nuts and studs, which is more in keeping of what it probably should have. I think that might be a decision that I'm going to make and put studs in there. These ones here are pretty reasonable. This one here could do with a touch with a file because it's not quite sitting down straight, so I haven't tightened that one up. These ones here are still a little bit over on this way and this way. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to pull these out and do these again, so all this has got to come off. And we'll have a bit more of a look. This is coming up pretty nice here. We've still got a hollow in there. This is filled up beautifully. Still got a bit of a hollow in there, but it's not too bad. I'm probably going to clean this up. This is filled up beautifully in here, which I'm really pleased about. And these want a bit ground off the inside here just to bring them in keeping with the rest of the holes, the rest of the lugs. So I'm probably going to hit these with a grinder and take them back in here a couple of millimetres. Clean that up. And it probably still wants a little bit in here. But apart from that, these are coming together. The holes all line up. They look like they're somewhere near in line, which I'm really pleased about. This way and this way. These ones look really good. So that's where we're at with it, and I might call this video done. Next project really on this casting is to clean the front of it off and bore it. Hopefully that's not a problem. We haven't got any chill or anything in there. I'm still filing it nicely here and across here, and I run a file up through the bore, and that doesn't seem to be a problem either. So that's the next job on this casting. It may not be the next job in the video series. I might rough out a crankshaft, or I might do some bits for the carburetor system. There's a dozen little jobs that we could do. really when we set this up on the mill, we want to clean this off like this one here. And making the two flanges, but they've still got to be cast. We're going to make patterns for them, and we're going to make a pattern for the carburettor manifold, or the manifold that goes under the head. And we're going to make a pattern for the two little lugs for this push rod that runs through past here, in and out, which is just an 1/8 rod backwards and forwards along there on two little truncheons. So that's where we're at. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. It's really appreciated. Hopefully this engine will come up and come together really nice. I haven't lost hope yet. If we can't bore this, or we've got a hard spot in the bore, or even in the pattern in the bearing here, I'm going to request another casting. At this point, we'll make some changes here, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Cross your fingers, everyone, and I think we're going to be well on the way with this. So be kind to each other, and more soon, guys and girls.